So as I was just preparing to sit down and give you guys a massive report on all of the updates regarding the war in Ukraine, all of a sudden, the 45th President of the United States, Donald John Trump, was just indicted by a New York grand jury. This is the first time in the nearly 250-year history of the United States that a president, current or former, has ever been charged with a crime. This is a monumental development in American politics and could have some very far-reaching consequences in terms of international affairs and, of course, the upcoming presidential election. What is going on here and what is going to happen next? I'm Stuart Hooper, a lecturer in political science and PhD researcher. Be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel, where I'm usually looking at international politics from a very critical angle, but occasionally we do have to look inward and see what's going on at the domestic level to help make some sense of what might happen at the international level of affairs. So be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. Hit like, that really helps to get the video moving in the YouTube algorithm. And leave me your comments. I really want to stress this. And my question to all of you is, because I'm really not sure how I feel about this, does this indictment of Trump, charging him with a crime, is this going to help or hinder his chances of election at the coming 2024 presidential election? What do you guys think? I really want to know your answers to that question. But let's jump into the article and take a look at the headline and how this all just developed, because this is really breaking as I'm making this video. Now we can see here, Trump indicted, first ex-president charged with a crime. A lawyer for Donald Trump said Thursday he's been told that the former president has been indicted in New York on charges involving payments made during the 2016 presidential campaign to silence claims of an extramarital encounter. It becomes the first ever criminal case against a former US president and a jolt to Trump's bid to retake the White House in 2024. Then jumping to the bottom here, the grand jury indictment of Trump, 76, is an extraordinary development after years of investigations into his business, political and personal dealings. It is likely to galvanize critics who say Trump lied and cheated his way to the top, and embolden supporters who feel the Republican is being unfairly targeted by a Democratic prosecutor. Wow. Yes, this is absolutely extraordinary. This is a truly unprecedented situation. Now, the problem, however, is people are absolutely going to look at this and they are going to scream and shout political persecution. And they are going to do this for two reasons. The first one, the last line of the report that we just looked at. This is a Democratic prosecutor going after a former Republican president. And the second point, not only is this a former Republican president, this is the current Republican front runner to be the presidential candidate for the Republican Party going into 2024. So not only are people going to say, rightly or wrongly, however you feel about it, that this is political persecution of a former president, they're also going to claim that this is political interference with an election campaign. Precisely what we have to assume, because they haven't released the charges, this prosecutor is going to be charging Trump with similar types of crimes, these payments to stop certain stories coming out about him, so his campaign could ultimately go onwards and upwards. This is a huge problem. This is going to be a huge political problem for the United States going forward. When you have These sorts of questions being thrown at your justice system in a democracy, and not just any democracy, but the United States of America, the democracy that's supposed to be the shining light on the hill, politically speaking, this opens the door to big time problems. This opens the door to, you think January 6th was bad? Wait till what happens next. It's possible that tonight, March 30th, 2023, we're going to see huge protests on the streets of New York City. We're going to see huge protests in Florida. This may open the floodgates to something that we really do not need in the United States in 2023. The country has enough problems. And all of this is occurring as a new poll is showing Trump's lead over DeSantis was growing. This was just from a day ago. And Trump now sits at 54% of respondents saying Trump is their number one pick for the Republican presidential nominee. DeSantis, second, although a distant second, only 24% of the vote. So what are Republicans going to do here? Does this seal the deal for Biden because even Republicans say this is the last straw, we're done with Trump? Because you got to remember, they do actually have this viable second place candidate. This didn't really exist back in 2016. Go and watch some of those debates amongst the Republican candidates. I mean, it's a disaster across the board. It's clear that Trump is the only one amongst that pack that had any chance of winning. But right now, there is this clear second place contender in Ron DeSantis. So do Republicans leave Trump to the side here and start getting behind DeSantis, running with him as the new leader of the party? Or does this really send Republicans completely behind Donald Trump? Do they really see this as political persecution, as political interference, as complete illegitimate use of law enforcement? If so, Trump's support may shoot up to heights that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. And again, I'm really not sure what way this is going to go. I don't know what's going to happen over the next few days and weeks in terms of the Republican response. Like I said, we could be seeing a massive movement in the streets for Trump, a massive grassroots movement that emerges. So I think that may be the telltale sign of which direction Republicans are going to go in. If we see massive protests over tonight, tomorrow, the weekend, I think Republicans are going to be getting behind Trump. Trump will probably emerge as the nominee with a huge margin, well above DeSantis, even further than he is right now. But I think if we don't see that, if we don't see that groundswell of support, if we don't see the grassroots Republican activists really getting out there in the field over the next few days, we may have our answer in the other direction. DeSantis may be where they are thinking they want to go. But overall, in my opinion, I think generally speaking, this is just the last thing that American politics needs right now. With everything else going on in the country, the shootings, the abortion issue, the racial problems that are still ongoing, the war in Ukraine. I mean, we just have, there are more than enough problems here. And this just adds on to the pile of problems. And I've said this before. On some levels, you just hope Trump would have said, you know what, it's time to retire. I'm going to go to the golf course, enjoy my golden years, and go off into the sunset. But he clearly wants to come back and wants to do this again. And I mean, for Trump personally, I supported some of what he said on foreign policy back in 2016, because foreign policy is ultimately the only thing that I care about. So for foreign policy, You put Trump and Hillary Clinton side by side, Trump's going to be my choice. Just look at the track record of Hillary Clinton. Syria, Libya, you name it. War in Iraq, so on and so forth. Complete disaster. Trump was at least saying the right things on foreign policy. Did he really change a whole lot? Not really. Didn't really deliver. But just on a rhetorical level, that's where I was with that debate. But this is a really interesting development, everyone. Please leave your comments below. Really want to hear what you guys think about this. Is this going to help Trump or is this going to hinder Trump? Does this propel him into the White House at light speed? Or is this the final nail in Trump's coffin? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll be back with that very long report on Ukraine real soon.